we'll get into the difficulty. We'll have a conversation about the difficulty factor later. Kate, we talked to, and thank you so much, Kate, for helping set up all this. And our friend Ed Salami is here. Ed Salami is the new executive director of the Professional Captains Association. We founded the Professional Captains Association this year, knowing that we had a demand for an organization that represented the professional development of professional boat captains, the antithesis to the paper captain. And we launched it, Kate, back in March or April, and we had almost 100 people sign up within the first afternoon. And we welcome Ed as a Rhode Island native and a longtime friend of mine, and he brings some really wonderful leadership to the table as the executive director of the Professional Captains Association. So, folks, my background as a professional boat captain is first response, quick response towing salvage here in Rhode Island waters, as well as in Florida waters. And my degree is from the University of Rhode Island, where I majored in marine affairs. And then I went to tugboats out of New York City and worked as a New York City tugboatman until I started Company Captain in 2002. What I've tried to do is I have, in some way, shape, or form, 30 years of experience running boats professionally. And I try to take all those difficult lessons learned, the lessons that we've learned over the years to make your path as a professional boat captain a little bit easier. And we sort of live and breathe by that. And it's been very successful for us over the years. So without further ado, let me talk a little bit about just getting into getting your captain's license. And I'm going to hit on basically some of the most popular things. We get phone calls every day and they ask us the following. And first of all is, one of the most popular questions when you're deciding to become a licensed captain is what license do I qualify for, and which course should I take? Now, for us, we teach primarily the OUPV 6-pack license and the master. If you've read about it, it's called 25/50/100 ton, which is a mouthful of a name, and people are oftentimes confused by that. Don't forget, these licenses are issued by the government, so they're not known for their efficiency, right? We do our best to sort of try to smooth things out for you. So let me explain the difference between the two of them. The OUPV, they call it the 6-pack license, is the nickname for it, because it certifies you to carry 6 passengers, no more than 6 passengers, on your boat or a private vessel of some type. So say you own a recreational vessel and you would like to generate a little bit of income for it. You want to take people out for sunset cruises on your boat. You could get an OUPV 6-pack. There's a few federal requirements for carrying for uninspected passenger vessels, carrying passengers for hire. If you meet those, then you're qualified to the ability to run some smaller passenger carrying vessels and some of the quick response towboats. Those of you, if towing and salvage is something that you're looking into, then I would recommend a master's license. So the master's license, we just call it the 100-ton master. And we call everybody in that group of people the 100-ton captains. Now, the sea time requirements, which we'll get into a little bit later, are the same for both of those licenses. And then if you, depending on the size vessel that you have your experience on, will dictate whether you get a 25, 50, or 100 ton. Maybe you have quite a bit of time on a small skiff in Narragansett Bay. It's only 7 or 8 gross tons. You would probably qualify for a 25-ton master. You wouldn't qualify for a 100-ton. Whereas if you've been running around a 50, a 37, or 38, or 45, or 50-ton vessel, then you will qualify for a 100-ton license. So the sea time requirements for an OUPV 6-pack and a 100-ton are almost identical from an hour standpoint. And then if you start getting into some of the near coastal and sort of what we would consider the ocean in small boats, but some of the vessels that travel offshore, those sea time requirements go up. And I'll get into a little more discussion about the sea time here in just a minute. People would, but there's one point about these licenses that I want to explain as they relate to the course. The 6-pack is a 57-hour course. If you do it online, it might take you, a week and a half. It might take you a year. It depends on how much time you dedicate to it. The master's is 80 hours, so it's 23 hours longer. There's only a little bit of new material between the 6-pack and the master. We'll teach you how to use the Code of Federal Regulations as a reference. And we do talk a little bit about ship stability, and we show off about that because, you know, when you have a high school physics teacher on staff, she knows really how to talk about stability. So, but the master's license itself certifies you to run any vessel up to that prescribed tonnage, not just uninspected vessels. Okay, what demands that a vessel be inspected? If your passenger carrying vessel is going to carry more than 6 people for hire, then it needs to have a certificate of inspection from the U.S. Coast Guard. If you're local to us here in Rhode Island, many of you aren't, by the way, we should acknowledge we have people all over the nation because we have instructors all over the nation. But if you're local here in Rhode Island, in East Providence is the U.S. Coast Guard sector, southeastern New England. The vessel inspectors reside in that office. They come to your boat, they inspect it per the Code of Federal Regulations. If it passes inspection, they will issue you a certificate of inspection. It certifies for how many people, and it lists how many people you're allowed to carry for hire. Okay, you would not be qualified to run that boat with a 6-pack license. That includes even a launch, a water taxi. So just to recap, the 6-pack is for 6 or fewer passengers on uninspected vessels. The master's is for every vessel up to that prescribed tonnage. So people ask us, and sorry, just to backtrack here a little bit, from a courseware, a course difficulty standpoint, the 6-pack and master's course, the master's has a little bit more information, including learning about the Code of Federal Regulations in more detail and how to use them, and ship stability. But generally what we found is more of the same information, more practice of the same information. And people tend to prefer that when they're going to be faced with an examination. So back in the old days, when everything took place in the classroom, what would happen is, you know, maybe we would start a class on a Monday morning, and a group of people would come in, and half of them were signed up for the 6-pack and half of them were signed up for the master's. And they all go and report to the same classroom for the first number of days. They all learn the same material. The individual doing the 6-pack is done 7 days later. The individual doing the master's is done 10 days later. 9.9 times out of 10, that individual that signed up for the master's course, for the 6-pack course, asks if they can just stay and do the master's. They see the value of the further learning, and they want to participate in that. That's important to point out, because in the classroom, it's easy. You can say, sure, we'll switch you to a different roster and you can continue and just stick around for a few extra days. And it's a little bit more money, and they pay their balance. With the online course, it's a little bit different. You can't jump between platforms. If you do the 6-pack course, and then you decide you want to get your master's license, there is a 6-pack 2 master upgrade course that you can then enroll for and take. It tends to repeat quite a bit of the information that was originally learned in the 6-pack, because of the way that the Coast Guard certification process works. Some of the participants may have had a 6-pack license for many years and are due for a refresher on information. So if you have questions on that, feel free to put them in the chat, or just hold on to them and raise your hand when we're done. I want to go just briefly into the, I'm going to share my screen here for a minute because I want to talk briefly about the seat time requirements and where you can find them. So Kate, can you turn on screen sharing for me? Oh, here it is. I got it. Never mind. Thank you. If you go onto our website, which is just confidentcaptain.com. If you mouse over more, you'll see it has DIY, do-it-yourself Coast Guard license application. In getting your captain's license, honestly, the hardest part of getting your captain's license is filling out the application. It's significantly harder than the course. But if you click on that, you'll find all the information you need to get your license. I'll talk a little bit more about the application later, but what I wanted to just point out is that we have the seat time requirements listed down here. So you don't need to write them down now. You can go back to our website later and look at them. For an OUPV 6-pack, you need 360 days of on-the-water experience. 1 day is achieved by a minimum of 4 hours. 8 hours does not get you 2 days. Okay? 90 of the 360 days must be outside. Don't worry about that part. 90 of the 360 days must be in the last 3 years. That's called recency. Okay. All of your experience has to be obtained since you were 13, and 50% of your experience has to be since you were 16 years old. So you need to be 18 years of age, and you need to be able to pass a physical and drug test. You need to have a valid first aid CPR certification. Okay. If you have those things, you can fill out your Coast Guard application, send it to the Coast Guard. You can do it prior to enrolling for the class. Most people do it after because they know they're going to get a little advice on filling out the application within the class, but you can do it any way you want. You send that in with a Confident Captain course completion certificate, and then the Coast Guard responds with an approval, hopefully, of your application if nothing's missing or wrong, and send your license back. So the master, either 25, 50, or 100 ton license has slightly different, and I'll talk about the tonnages here in a moment. The master inland license, same seat time requirements, 360 days. 90 of them have to be within the last 3 years, and 50% have to be since you were 16 years old. Okay. You can also get a master inland with an OUPV near coastal. And then if you want to have a master near coastal license, meaning it's good to 100 miles offshore, then you need 720 days of sea time. Still 90 of those must be within the last 3 years, and 360 of them have to be outside this imaginary boundary line that the Coast Guard has drawn around the nation that allows you, that designates whether you've been inland or in offshore, what they refer to as near coastal waters. So again, an inland master and an OUPV have the same original 360 days. If you need the near coastal master, it does go up to 720 days. And then the next most popular question is, which license am I going to get from a tonnage standpoint? If all of your time is, and there's been some slight changes here, which I apologize for. If all of your time is under 5 gross tons, you're going to get a 25-ton license. Now it's more than 1 day. If multiple days are over 5 tons, you qualify for a 50-ton. And then if 90 days are over 50 ton, you'll get a 100 ton. If 180 days are over 34 tons, you'll get a 100 ton license. And again, those requirements are found on our website on confidentcaptain.com. And then I'll just back out here to show you how to get there again. From the home page, just mouse over more and click on DIY license applications. It'll give you a whole host of things to look at, one of which is seat time requirements. And also here's the boundary line. Most of them are geographic. A couple of them have some latitude and longitude points that will show you if your seat time's been inside or outside of that, whether it relates to inland or near coastal time. In addition, I saw a quick question here, which is, there's some good timing to answer that. Someone asked if they needed their TWIC card first. TWIC is a TWIC, Transportation Worker Identification Credential. You do not need a TWIC card to take the course. You will need a TWIC, and it is not 100% necessary to have the TWIC card to apply for your license. The last I heard, the Coast Guard said if you don't have a TWIC card, there will be significant delays. And the reason for that is the Coast Guard then has to go do their own background check on you, and they would prefer that the Transportation Security Administration do that background check and give them the information electronically. So if you go to the TWIC website and you apply for your TWIC card, once you've applied online and you've received a receipt, that receipt that you receive is sufficient to send in with your U.S. Coast Guard sufficient to send in with your U.S. Coast Guard application.
Hey, Ken, we just have a quick question on sea times
Yep.
that I got, and that is how many years can you go back when you're documenting your sea time?
All the way back to age 13.
Thank you.
And then half of it has to be since you were, more than half of it has to be since you were 16. People snicker at that statistic, right? But I was 18. I was 18 in 6 days when I got my first captain's license. So that 16-year mark, that was a big deal, right?
My dad actually he just retired Navy, right? So he just went back. He's 20 years out of the Navy, but he went back and used his sea time from 20 plus years and was able to, that's how he's documenting it. So
people ask us a lot of military sea time questions. There is a military sea time form that can be issued from whatever branch of the military that they were in that can be used in your application. We can help you with. I will say that it does depend on where you served on the vessel. So if you were in a non-navigational role, it doesn't have quite as much value. If you were a cook, it's not going to have as much value as if you were a watchstander on the bridge. So there is some delineation.
And the follow-up to that is, how do you prove that time from a long time ago if you can't get in touch with the person who can verify it?
That's a great question. If you have service on a small vessel, which in the nature of our business, all these vessels are considered small, 100 tons and under. You do need to have it signed by either the captain or the owner of the vessel. If that person's no longer available, then you would have a difficult time. Proving it. I have seen situations where their heir has signed off on it. My recommendation there, as long as there's someone that has a legal authority to do that, don't complicate the matter. Just have them sign the form and acknowledge themselves as the owner or managing operator of the vessel, and that should be satisfactory.
And to answer the question that someone's asking how you document it, there are forms that are also linked. So there's what we recommend you have. There's also links on our website and to the Coast Guard.
Correct.
There's a very specific form you fill out for all of that.
Correct. And all those forms are listed. All those forms are listed on the website. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about the licensing process. There's sort of the primary way that people tend to apply for their license is they come and take the course. We help them fill out the application. They pass the course. Hopefully they pass. They take the course completion certificate from Confident Captain. They combine it with their application and they send all of that up to the U.S. Coast Guard. And 99 times out of 100, that's what we recommend doing. If there is a situation where someone has a concern about whether or not they would get their license, maybe they have a criminal background, but it was many years ago. Maybe they have some health concerns. They have a heart condition, things that could disqualify them to get a captain's license. What I recommend is that they fill out that application package first, send it up to the Coast Guard, and get approved ahead of time before they make the time and money investment into the course. So there are occasions when they do say no. There's not very many, but if you're not healthy enough, or if you can't be trusted by the government to be in charge of a passenger carrying vessel, then they will deny your application. The majority, they're not worried about criminal history, like, you got in a fist fight in college and you have an assault record. They're worried about excessive, and even one DUI, they don't have a major problem with that. If you have an excessive number of DUIs, if you have a record for drug abuse and distribution, or if you're some sort of a terrorist. Those are the three major disqualifiers. From a health standpoint, seizures that are uncontrolled obviously would play a major role, and heart conditions that are uncontrolled. If you do have something in your license that would make it a little bit sticky, we do have individuals that we work with that act as consultants and liaise for you on behalf of you with the Coast Guard that can help you cut through a lot of red tape. So you could email us and we would help introduce you to people that are basically paid Coast Guard licensed consultants. There's not many of them. There's 3 or 4 in the nation, and they are helpful. So let's talk a little bit about the process of getting your license in light of COVID, which is why most of you are here. You can do a captain's course completely online. You can do all of the study, the whole course of instruction, all of it will take place at your computer. Some people are uncomfortable with that, and I understand. We'll get to that. But at the end of the day, you need to do an exam, and you need to do an exam with a live person. The Coast Guard does not allow examining online for obvious reasons. You could easily cheat on the exam. So that gets difficult to do when there's travel restrictions and when there's restrictions for large gatherings. But for the most part, we've been able to work through those solutions. At our office in Middletown, Rhode Island, we have 5 classrooms, right? So even if I only have 2 or 3 people in a classroom on a Saturday morning, we can examine about 15 people. And then we have instructors throughout the Eastern Seaboard and quickly expanding further out to the south and even on the West Coast that will conduct examinations as one of our instructors and one of our representatives. We have a captain in Western Massachusetts. We have a captain in New Hampshire. We have a captain in Eastern Mass. We have captains in Rhode Island, Virginia. Just recently signed up one in South Carolina and Georgia. They're out there and they can help you from anywhere online. But at the end of the day, you need a physical place to report to take your actual examination, which is why we continue to recruit highly qualified instructors that can conduct examinations for us after you've completed the courseware. The examination generally takes 3 to 5 hours. People become very uncomfortable with examinations if they haven't been to school in a long time. We get it, right? Our job is to help you pass this examination. There are some things in the business that I despise, one of which is a captain's training facility that guarantees you're going to pass the examination. I will never make that guarantee to you. All I can do is say that we've hired really thoughtful, really intelligent, really palatable people that will bend over backwards to help you do that. So the general process is sign up for a captain's course, get logged in, get introduced to your closest area representative, the person that you would work with and would eventually meet in person to study live or to take your examination live, and then eat away at the courseware. Some people don't want any help. They just suddenly sign up for an examination and they show up. Some people need a lot of help, and we have, really get to know the people fairly well by the time they're done with the course. You can sign up for group or individual tutoring hours when you are in the middle of your course. You just go right on the website and enroll for some. I think group tutoring is $15 an hour, and private tutoring is $60 an hour. So if you take the price of the course is over $1,000 when people used to come into the classroom for 2 weeks, and we would have an instructor in front of them for 2 weeks. That's an expensive thing, as the training facility to do. It's much less expensive to run the course online. And the thing that I like about it is the really high level of fairness. I mean, say you had 10 people in the classroom, there might be only 2 of them that really needed an extensive amount of help. The other, and there were 4 or 5 of them that were pretty good and had the occasional question. And there were 2 or 3 of them that never had a single question. They were just really dialed in on the material. They had a lot of experience. The ones that never had a question, they didn't really get good value out of the course. They had to spend the same amount as the other individual that came because, the price covers the seat that they're sitting in. When you do the course online, the beauty of that is the fairness factor is you only pay for what you need. If you don't need any tutoring, you pay the base price. If you do need tutoring, then you pay by the hour. So in some ways, although people can sometimes be intimidated by online learning, there are some advantages to it, and that's one that I've always found to be a great advantage for our customers. So sometimes people just like the structure. They just some people aren't good at learning. I was not a particularly good student. I'm sure if you ask some of my teachers from my younger days, they said, here's an individual that owns a training facility, they might be kind of surprised to hear that because I was never a particularly good student. People just need the direction. They need the coaching. They need to say, you do this at this time and don't stop until you've finished. We understand that. And we've designed the course online to do that. And then if that's not quite enough, then you can use the private tutoring. In 2021, we will set up course dates that people can attend, but I don't think they're going to be able to attend them in person. I think what's going to happen is a group of people gets together in a Zoom fashion and works together for the, for the 57 or the 80-hour program, and it's instructor led. So you can look at a calendar and mark off and say, for these 2 weeks, I'm going to be focused solely on getting my captain's license. We'll run a few of those next year and try them. So it is an option for you. But I encourage everybody and it's also will, of course, be a more expensive option because it's essentially 80 hours of group tutoring. So I encourage everybody to try it first. And if it's not working for you, you've had a few one-on-one sessions with somebody locally, whether you're down in Georgia working with Chris, or whether you're up in New England working with myself or Erica, try it first. Don't spend that money unless you absolutely have to. So when you're done with all of the learning, whether it's the 57 or the 80 hours, you sign up for an examination. And the dates and times and locations are all listed on our website. You can sign up for it when you register if you want. There's sort of two schools of thought there. Some people are like, I'm going to pick a date for my examination and I'm going to purchase it right away because that will keep me motivated to get through the courseware. No problem. Do it. Others, they're not quite so sure when they want to do it. They want to kind of, just put a toe in the water. They sign up for the course, and then you can sign up for the exam whenever you feel prepared for it, or whenever you want to sort of shift it into that higher gear. You can decide whenever you want, and you can email us and ask us. We can look at the back end of the learning management platform and see how you're doing and give you advice on that too. So you decide what license you qualify for by looking at our website. You make sure that you can put your seat time together, at least in a rough fashion, and that you have enough seat time to qualify for it. You sign up for the course. You take advantage of tutoring if you need it, save money if you don't. You come to a live examination that we proctor. We correct the examination. You'll know immediately if you pass the examination or not. People love to ask me the pass-fail rate. It's pretty good. We do a good job. We work incredibly hard. We do a lot of tutoring. We do a lot of reviewing. And we're pretty good at gauging the student ahead of time. I try not to put people in the classroom, the examination room that aren't ready for it. So we could say that it's in the 90% of people that pass the first time. There's 5 modules on the exam: rules of the road, plotting and navigation, general navigation, buoys, tides, current, lighthouses, things like that. A safety module and a general deck seamanship module that has information on, say, boat handling, anchoring, types of line, rope, deck hardware, things like that. And each one of those modules you can take 3 times. So let's say you go through and you do all of your exams and you pass everything but that pesky rules of the road exam. You have to get a 90 on that rules of the road, and you don't get a 90, okay? And you have to come back and try it again. I'm disappointed, you're disappointed, we get it. We feel bad for about 2 seconds and we move on. And that's the best way to handle it. You don't have to do those other modules. Once you've passed them, you've passed them. You only have to try it again at your rules of the road. So once you've passed the module, it's in the bank. And you have, I'd have to look because no one's ever taken this long, but I think it's 6 months to complete all of those makeups. So when it comes time to fill out your application, the resources like we showed you earlier on the website, in addition to, you'll get a course completion certificate from us that says you completed this course, and that certificate is accepted by the Coast Guard in lieu of an examination at a Coast Guard regional exam center, either in Boston, New York, Charleston, Houston, etc. One other thing that I wanted to touch on, I saw a lot of interest in the launch tender course. The launch tender course will only certify you to run a launch, and particularly in New England, that is only a specific launch. You can run the blank launch for ABC Yacht Club. You may not go 1,000 miles from shore. It's only a 2-day course, but it is, and you also need a safe boating certificate. But over the years, and one of the things that I've talked to the Coast Guard about, not just like the local Coast Guard, I've spoken to the National Maritime Center about it. The examination for the limited master, although it does not have a plotting component, it has the same rules of the road exam, It has just as difficult safety questions, just as difficult navigation general questions, just as difficult ed questions. At that point, you might as well get the regular and it's the same price. So you might as well get the regular master's license. So I've been, telling people, unless they're too young, which means they're under 19 years old, to get the regular small master's license, to just put that extra effort into it. It's a matter of time. It's not even a matter of dollars at that point. When the Coast Guard told me to increase the number of questions on the limited master launch tender exam to 50 deck, 50 safety, and 50 rules of the road, I'm like, I'm not sure I can teach you to pass those exams in 24 hours. So we're still going to put that course online, and we're still going to offer one-on-one tutoring. The nice thing about the online is you can spend more than 24 hours. You can spend as long as you want. But I would encourage people to have a wholehearted thought about just getting the 25 or 50-ton master's license, whichever one they qualify for, as opposed to the launch tender. Unless they're too young or you don't have enough seat time, I think you find that you get a lot more sort of bang for your buck, for lack of a better term there. So for the most part, I think I covered anything. Kate, am I missing one of the regularly asked questions that we field electronically or on the website? I've talked for about a half an hour, which I promised everybody that's as long as I would.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing we hear is, we understand a lot of you probably haven't been in school for a while. So sometimes going back to the studying, and especially in a self-motivated environment such as online, can be pretty daunting. We're here to try and help make that easier. Just today, Erica and I, who you can see here, are going to start offering even tutorials as soon as you sign up. We're going to do some Zoom, get to know the online course, because sometimes the hardest part is just getting used to how the course actually works. We use an online system. It's called an LMS, a learning management system, to help facilitate that. But sometimes buttons move and things move, and we're here to kind of help you, because I think the big question we get is when people don't get the questions right, they want to know how they can see the old quizzes and learn from their mistakes, which is how we all learn. So we're here to answer all those questions all the time. So don't worry, you're not being thrown in the deep end and left alone. I think the most thing we hear about is people just are nervous about learning online.
Kate, that's a really good point. One of the things that we impress upon everybody as soon as they walk in the door is that the material that they're about to learn is not particularly difficult. Okay, this is not pre-med. There's no astrophysics. There's no chemistry. There's no calculus. There's arithmetic. But at the end of the day, it's really not challenging. I think people find that they confuse that and they call it hard. And it's not hard. There's just a lot of material. There's absolutely nothing that's academically challenging that takes place in this course. It's just a matter of the quantity of material. And how do we do that? The analogy that I use is if you were at your, let's say we worked in an office together, and we were at your desk, and I took a big pile of papers and I dropped it on your desk, and I was like, hey, do this work. You're going to look at that work. You're going to find that to be very daunting and very challenging, and rightfully so. As opposed to if I were to take that information and I were to take all of those papers and file them, say, by alphabetical order in manila folders, and put them in a neat and tidy box, and hand you that box and say, hey, here's the work that we need to get through as a team. That's going to be a lot more comfortable situation in a work environment. Okay, that's our job at Confident Captain. One of my jobs is to take the experience that I've learned and impress it upon you in hopes to help you develop professionally. But a major part of our role is to take what's a very large amount of information and give it to you in a very smooth and palatable fashion at the proper rate of flow, so you don't get overwhelmed. Okay, and we've been able to achieve that thanks to really the genius design of Kate, who did all of the online architecture. Let me just share my screen again here. I'd like to show you what the online course looks like. So when you first log into the online course, Kate, can you see the LMS?
Yes.
Good. So when you first log into the online course, I happen to have lots of different courses here because I own it. But let's say you sign up for the Master 100-Ton course. When you first log in, everything is super organized. Here's the first module. It's an introduction. It's a half an hour long. You watch a video, you watch another video, you order your course materials, so on and so forth.
We should talk about that, Ken, the course materials, just briefly.
Sure. Module 2, we get right into the rules of the road, and look, it's even laid out by rule number. There's a lecture. It's just really super organized, and it's really smooth, and you should find that the more organized the material is to get to you, delivered to you by us, the easier it is to retain all of it. We have some people that are very academic come through our program, but again, at the end of the day, I've never been a particularly good student, and I'm sort of well aware of the fact of the things that I need to make things palatable, and I've tried to do that for you. Kate asked me to mention the supplies for the captain's course. When we first started offering the program on the internet, we would ship you all of the materials that you needed: parallel rulers, 1 or 2 charts, a set of dividers, and a textbook. The first time someone was like, wait a minute, I already have the parallel rulers. We were like, we don't have the infrastructure to handle all that. So we just have you, we reduced the price of the course accordingly, and we have you order your materials. And we give you advice. There's 3 or 4 places on our website where you'll be able to order them online, and they should arrive in a few days. Once you sign up, you can start right away. You only need the hardware and the tools for the plotting portion, which is well after you get through the rules of the road and the general navigation information.
Which we should mention, the process is that you would sign up online right now. So you go to confidentcap.com, you'd choose your master's or your OUPV, and then we do have to create a login for you right now. So it's not like an instantaneous, you hit buy. So our office manager will send you an introduction email with your name and your password to get to our LMS, just like you would do if you came to the class.
If you sign up in the middle of the day, you might find that she gets you logged in right away. If you sign up Sunday at 5 o'clock, it might be Monday morning before you get your login credentials.
So a couple questions that have been coming in, especially, I'm going to kind of break them down. The mechanics of the class, can you use it on an iPad? We have found that, yes, you can use it on an iPad. You can view it. Sometimes it's a little more cumbersome, and people are kind of just typing and things like that, find it more cumbersome. So we do recommend a laptop, but it does work on an iPad. And we can always help you with that. Can you start the course at any time? Yes. Like, again, you sign up online. Our office manager, Gretchen, I'm not sure if Gretchen's on the call right now. She might be somewhere here. She will get back to you within a business day of getting you a login to start getting in, and you can dive into the course. And we give you links to go to Amazon or your local marine retailer to buy those supplemental materials, such as your Chapmans and your rulers and your dividers and your and the courses, but and the charts. Those are the modules towards the end anyway. So it's really the beginning modules. I mean, once you get your login, you can start diving into the rules of the road, which is the biggest module we have. But there's a lot of questions coming up about CPR. Ken, do you want to just talk about that? Can you get
I cannot teach you how to do CPR on the internet. I'm sorry. It must be done in person, but it does not have to be done with us. Unless you're putting your hands on a mannequin, putting your hands on an AED, you're not going to learn. We have these amazing paramedics that come to our office and teach it for the day. And we can help you find great CPR and first aid courses in other areas, but the CPR and first aid is not offered. And I can tell you that spending the amount of time on the water that I have, the times that I've needed to use my CPR and first aid training, I was really glad that I had a robust training. So absolutely no CPR first aid training online. Refreshers and renewals I've heard available online, but original training needs to be done in person, and it does need to be the 8-hour. So you can do heart association and a couple of others. There's a list on the Coast Guard website that will help. And if in doubt, double check. You can email us to help you. Or you can talk directly to one of the representatives at the Coast Guard National Maritime Center, just to make sure that course is accepted as a proof of having checked that box with your license application, if in doubt.
And we offer them every now and then. We're sort of right now in sort of a flux based with COVID restrictions and when things are available and when we have a demand. So if you're interested email us. And if
Mhm.
we get enough of a demand, we'll just get the paramedic in and we'll go ahead and do
We have
it.
students that come back every year because the paramedics that come in are just awesome and they're really good at it. And they come in every year because they want to be refreshed on it. They carry passengers for hire. They know that if somebody has a medical emergency on board, they want to be good at it. We have other students that just want to check the box. I don't recommend that for any professional boat captain. You're just further away from help than people who can easily call 911. So, Kate, what are some of the other questions that we got?
There's a question about the exam, and if you fail it, what are your options from there?
You can take it 3 times. If you fail it the 3rd time, you have to retake the course. I've done that once or twice in my 18-year career. For the most part, we'll get you through. You need to be prepared to work hard and do some studying and get a lot of extra help, but we'll get you through it. So after 3 times, you need to take the course again. So.
And can we start the course anytime? Sorry, I'm just scrolling back through a couple of things. There are some questions. The one somebody had a question about the TWIC card. If you're DOD and you already have security clearance, do you still have to go get your TWIC card? My experience is yes, right?
If you're DOD, you know how the government works, and you
exactly.
know.
It's all, you probably will get it right away, but it's all about that extra government fee and another bureaucracy. So, yeah, I know when I got it. So, and then there was a couple questions about renewal. So you've got your captain's license,
Yep.
signed off. I've done everything. Now what?
You've had it for 5 years. All your dreams of captaining boats have come true and then some, and it's time to renew. Give yourself a lot of time. Start in the earlier part of the year that it renews. Give yourself a solid 6 months. Another physical, another drug test, a renewal of your TWIC card, which is easier than the original issue, not that it's particularly hard, and the fees to the Coast Guard again, which should be about $190, and some recent sea time, 90 days in the last 3 years, and I think for renewal on a 50-ton, geez, I don't remember off the top of my head the time. I think I want to say it's 180 days over the 5-year span of having had your license. Let's say you don't have the sea time anymore. There is a renewal course out there. There's also take-home exams that I've seen. Folks don't have quite enough sea time, so they reapply. The Coast Guard mails an exam home, and they do the exam at home and mail it back to the Coast Guard. That's probably like the preferred method. People have asked us for tutoring there, and they've come in and they've set up appointments with our instructors who worked with them and tutored them on the material in that exam. So
circling back to sea time, there's a couple questions back there. Do you have to be employed on a boat to necessarily get sea time?
No, it can totally be your boat. Yeah, and it could be any position on a small craft. It could be, you can be working on deck. You might be driving the boat. You need to be participating somehow in the operation of the boat. But yeah, if you have a family boat, your family has a 25 or 30-foot boat, and you've been going out with them, for many years, all of that time counts. If it's your own personal boat and you've been going out by yourself or taking people out, not for hire because you don't have a captain's license, but you go out with your friends and family, you just certify your own sea time. The Coast Guard doesn't need to see a log. They really don't need it. They just want you to be honest about it. Tell me what days you were on the boat, and show me that you own the boat by providing, like a great example would be the copy of your registration or documentation papers. People do that quite regularly, self-certifying their own sea time.
We had a couple questions.
People lie about it. Like, people lie about it regularly and they get away with it. We're aware of that. The Coast Guard's aware of that. It is expected that you do it honorably on the honor system. And if you go to the Coast Guard, you're like, hey, I have 31 days in February. They're not going to believe you. So
it's still a legal document that you're signing, affirming that you're telling the truth. So
you're still lying to the federal government. Yeah, exactly. If you lie about it.
So let me see. There is
some people probably want to jump off, and some people want to stick around for Q&A. So maybe we can.
Yeah, you're also welcome. We're welcome to take questions personally.
Yeah.
Click on the participants button. There's a raise your hand function, and I'll just unmute you. Or if no one's going to jump,
we can go add a video chat, some questions. I just want to say one thing, because I noticed the numbers are starting to tick down. We did come up with a special, Kate, for people that participated tonight, that want to join us to get their captain's license, either New England, South Carolina, Virginia, Georgia, wherever we have people available, that people that sign up within the next 24 hours, we will cover their exam. Their exam will be free. So instead of the $95 exam fee, it's no charge. And that's basically for easy keeping track of things. That's for anybody that signs up between now and 7 o'clock tomorrow, the next 24 hours. So we're not really gimmicky and sales and things like that. Our products have sort of always spoken for ourselves, but as a way of saying, hey, thanks for taking your time out of your schedule and being bold and in the middle of a pandemic, sort of using the perhaps extra time that you had to get your license, we said we'd waive the exam fee for people that sign up in the next 24 hours.
So we have a question from, you're labeled as iPad. Go ahead.
Yeah. So it's Jim Bousquet. I'm already signed up for the exam. My question is, there's in addition to the 100-ton license, there's an add-on for a sailor, a sailing.
Yep.
What's the official term for it?
The sailing endorsement.
Right. What's involved there?
Great question. There's 2 endorsements that you can put on the master's license, and there's 1 endorsement that you can put on the 6-pack license. Okay. The 6-pack and master's license, you can put on both of them a commercial assistance towing endorsement. If you want to run for Safe Sea or Sea Tow or Towboat US. That's a 4-hour course. It's one that I'm well qualified to teach because I spent 30 years in the towing business. I just teach it to you usually right when you're done with your examination, and then it's a 10-question test.
And what's that cost?
Same thing for the sailing endorsement. Usually right after you take your test, I'll sit down with you. We'll do the basics of sailing, and then do a 10-question test. Very passable. But the Coast Guard we can't just give it to you. We have to sit down and talk about it. I will put those online in 2021 as well. So people will be able to prepare for it and come in and just do the examination. I just don't have them online yet. So.
And that's an additional fee?
$175.
Okay.
Yeah,
and I'll be quite perfectly honest with you, it's worth it from a work standpoint, but from an educational standpoint, you're not gonna. It's very basic sailing, so it's not like our Yachtmaster courses or our YA courses where it's really like head, tack, clue, leech, left foot, running rigging, standing rigging, things like that. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure thing.
So also, if someone decides to sign up today for the online course, Angel had the question, how long is the online course? How long do they have to access our course?
Essentially, you have as long as you want. After a year or 2, I'm going to start bugging you. Like, hey, are you going to finish this? Because we have other users that want to use this license. So let's say a year, maybe 2.
We have yet to kick anybody out. So,
yeah, we haven't kicked anybody out yet. And I'm still we're a small business. Like, we're not some big, like, we have a soul, we have ethics. We don't really want your money and not having delivered something to you. So we'll stay with you. Eventually you're going to get an email that says, hey, let's move it along.
So we also had a question from Cookie's iPad. She says I'm only interested in taking 6 people out on my personal sailboat. What license should I get? Based on what we talked about tonight, technically you would only need the OUPV. Correct. But the reason we also like to say, if you've got the sea time and it's an extra $100 and a little bit more training topic at time, go for the master, because the last thing you want to do is all of a sudden be telling someone to stay on the dock or.
Well, his boat's not certified to carry more than 6 people.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
So, and the other thing about the 6-pack is that it's assumed that the sailing endorsement is included. Like, it's assumed that he may be operating. So if you have a 6-pack, if you're going for a 6-pack license and you have a sailboat, you do not then need the sailing endorsement. You would still need a towing endorsement if you're going to run. So yeah, if you only want to take 6 people on your sailboat, a 6-pack license will cover that easy.
There you go. What is the certification for Canada? Ooh, I don't know.
So that's actually a great question.
Okay.
You need to. It depends. So it doesn't really matter where you are. It matters the flag of your vessel. You can be in the Eastern Hemisphere. If you're running a U.S. flag boat, you need a U.S. Coast Guard captain's license. if you're running a Canadian flag boat, you need a Transport Canada. License, and their licensing structure, and we call it a scheme. Scheme in America, the word scheme sounds bad, but by scheme they mean structure, and that's based on Transport Canada's regs, which I'm woefully unfamiliar with.
I just wanted to take a quick minute here. I'm going to share my screen for those of you who actually end up, we hope you guys will all join us. This is how you actually sign up for the class. Can you see my screen right now?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. So you're going to come to our website, and there's multiple pathways to sort of get there. You can click on our big button to find a course. You can also click on training, online training, or US Coast Guard courses. Eventually, you'll probably end up on our online courses page here. And this is, we explain kind of everything we did in the seminar tonight. So you've got your master or your OUPV, and you'll click on that, and that takes you to our course page. And right now, if we were doing still in-person classes, you would see them here, but right now we're only doing online courses. So you'll just click sign up for your course, and right along here, you'll, I still had in my cart from doing this earlier, you'll have a cart where you'll buy the course. This is also where you would come if you wanted to buy some tutoring hours, and where you would come to sign up for an exam. Like we mentioned before, you do not need to sign up for all of this at once. So you can sign up for the course now, try it, realize you need some more sessions, come back here, sign up for some tutoring. And then when you're ready to take the exam, you'll come here and choose from our locations, and to continue to check back if we're going to be adding course dates in different locations here all the time. And then, like mentioned before, if you want to do a sailing or towing endorsement, you would add that, and we would add that in onto your course date. You would take that exam on your actual course date. So I just wanted to show that for those who want to do it. And like we said, though, tonight, if you're here, the exam is normally an additional fee, but for you guys joining us tonight, we're going to waive that. So
Cool.
Let's see if I got any more questions while I was doing that. How long does the course take on average? Well,
57 or 80, depending on.
57 for OUPV and 80 for the Coast Guard. You may get through things faster. There are lectures you have to watch in full.
Yeah.
That's based on if you watch everything and you take every quiz and you read everything and you need some extra time.
You're not allowed to shorten it, Kate. The Coast Guard's very particular about it. You can take a little longer if you want, but you're not allowed to cut corners.
Yeah. And it looks like Erica dropped in here. Somebody missed the beginning there's questions about how long the certifications take. On our website, we have a checklist that goes through all of the hours for everything that's required.
And we've recorded this too, so if there were a few.
Yeah, and it's 7 o'clock right now, so we've hit the hour mark. So I guess we can stick around and ask any questions if people want. This is recorded, we'll get put up.
I would say if I've answered all your questions, feel free to log off, and it was so nice of you all to stop here. I know particularly have a number of folks from the Atlanta area, which we're delighted to see. We recently started working with Chris Day down in Atlanta, who's a super guy, and we're really looking forward to participating with all of you. And so those of you who have more questions or want to just hang out for a little bit more question and answer session, I'm happy to stick around, and Kate and I am happy to stick around for as long as possible. Once we get through them all, then we'll all cut it. But those of you that have attended that are going to sign out now, thank you so much for attending. It means a lot to us that you were here, and we were overwhelmed by the great response we got from folks today. So, what other questions can I answer for people?
Ned Jones said thank you. Ned Jones, you better sign up.
Thanks, Ned. Ned's a friend of ours. Ned's a friend of ours. We don't talk to all of our customers like that, but we do talk to our friends like that. So, cool. There was
Cynthia has a question. I'm going to unmute her.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Cynthia. You just have to unmute yourself. You have permission now. I'm going to remove that from everybody.
Unmute?
Yeah, there you go. You're all set. We hear you.
Okay, great. Hi. I'm in Florida, South Florida, and my friend emailed me your program the other day. And my question is, how much is it?
South Florida?
Yeah, I'm in Boca in South Florida.
Yeah, right on. You're on my
Okay.
radar, my friend. Let me tell you, because we have family down there.
Oh, okay.
If it weren't COVID, I would tell you that I'd be down there in April for our regular visit to family, and I would do it myself. But I hesitate to do that now. But I am actively looking for someone there. If you want us to email you, I would think in 2021 I would be disappointed if we hadn't reached down there for sure.
Oh, so right now you're not here with someone that I could ask for help with.
You can get help from any of us on Zoom, but I can't do the exam live in Boca until I have one of our instructors that's been through not only the certification, but also our training process.
Okay. Well, how much is the exam?
$95. The course is.
No, I mean the course.
The six-pack course is $395, and the master's course is $495.
Okay.
The exam is
And
$25.
okay, so I'm just a boater for 25 years. I have 3 boats over the years. I have 2 right now.
Yep.
So I definitely have enough hours and everything. I just wanted to know, I'm in the Coast Guard Auxiliary and I took some courses and, like set and drift and all the rules. It's kind of hard to remember everything, Like sometimes I'll get 10 questions right and sometimes I'll get, 10 wrong. I mean, it's just amazing how.
You need a couple hours with Captain Erica. She'll have you tuned up in no time and prepared to pass the examination. I don't want to make a promise to you about delivering a live exam in Boca and then not being there. I wish.
Well, I do go home. I go to New York 6 months out of the year.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah.
So do you have someone in New York?
I do them in Connecticut.
Oh, okay. Where are you in
You can
Connecticut?
you can come to the Stamford area, the Fairfield, Stanford area.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm in Westchester, New York.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I took the course,
When are
does
you
it
normally
take
here
about,
during the summer season?
yeah, May through October.
Yeah, no problem. I would say that in Western Connecticut by then for sure. The same family that's in Boca is in Western Connecticut, so we're there.
So you're already there now.
Yes, I do those things from Rhode Island. If it's within a couple hours, I go do it myself.
Okay.
Or we send Eric.
So you're someone that I could take the test with in New York if I start now.
I would do it in Connecticut. Yep, not in New York, but yes.
Okay. My next question. And how long does it take about?
The exam?
No, I came a little bit late. I'm sorry.
No,
how long is the course?
if you do the 6-pack, the OUPV 6-pack, it's 57 hours. You take as long as you want because it's self-directed. If you do the master's, it's 80 hours.
And each module you finish, if you understand the module, then you'll do well on the test, more or less?
Yes.
Because how you break it down, it's
By design, I have had people come in the test and choke, but for the most part, if you get through the module well and you do your practice quizzes, you'll be just fine.
Okay. All right. Very, very inexpensive because I've seen these courses for $600.
Well, they can be much more than that. If you come in person, they can be much more than that. Our in-person class is $1,300.
Ah, okay. So that's the difference. Okay.
You have to pay an instructor and you have to pay the rent. So it gets a lot more expensive to do.
Okay. So the modules are people up there telling you stuff online and you listen and you do the work. And if you need any more extra time, it's $60 an hour. Someone via Zoom.
For private.
Excuse me. For private, right.
Tutoring is 60. If you want to do group tutoring, it's only $15 an hour.
Oh, group of what? 15?
It's like
people?
a ski lesson. Maybe there's 1, maybe there's 10.
Oh, like a ski lesson. Okay, I got it.
Depends on how many people sign up.
Okay, I think that's really reasonable.
We try to be reasonable people.
Okay, no, but I think the price and the value is like, God, that's great. So the average person, it takes what? 4 months, 3 months?
Oh yeah. We've been finding like a 3 or 4 month turnaround for most people.
We've had a few people who like sit down and are like, nope, I'm doing it. And they'll go through it in like,
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah. But they set the time aside. They want to get it. And, but I'd say the average people like are, do it in the evenings and probably it's like a semester,
Okay. That's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Now, Cynthia, let me say one more thing about your exams, just as we're mentioning it, right? If you're in the Westchester area and you're having a hard time making the schedule work, but you're 6 months in Westchester, my guess is worst case scenario, you got to come spend a weekend in Newport and do your test here. And that's probably not going to break your heart either.
No, I could sail up to Newport. I love Newport.
Okay, so then we have like 3 layers of, so I would be more comfortable encouraging you to sign up. What I don't want to do is encourage people to sign up if I think we want to, we want to be able to help them somehow.
So I think maybe then I'll sign up when I get there in
Yep.
May and then
Yeah.
go from there when I'm
Yep.
up in New York. Okay, well, look.